All right, welcome back. Episode 61 of the Young Old Heads podcast. That's how many home runs Roger Maris hit in the year 1961. I'm here. Wait, I didn't even introduce myself. I'm Tommy, aka TV Sports Cards, and I'm here with my good friend, co-host Max, aka Cards Max, aka Cards Max Don't Sue Me edition.
Yeah,
Max, how are you doing?
I'm kabooming today. I'm shooting from downtown, but only for a short while longer because it seems like we're not going to have those cards anymore.
No, and here to talk to us about it is famed card collector, card dealer. Some would call him a card dealer pro.
Card
Um,
hunter.
uh, the man who represents Delco, which is a city, a town.
County, Delaware County.
It's a county, but I appreciate the call to it. Yes, it is I, DelcoRips. I am honored today to be on my current favorite card podcast. So thank you two gentlemen for having me on. It's an honor.
Well, we're glad to have you, Alex. It's been a long time coming. I think we initially talked about having you on back in like December, and then you started working for Clex, and I was like, "Go fuck you!" I can't do it. I can't do it. But
you're just crossing the picket lines here.
Alex himself has a great podcast, Dime Boxing with Delco. Really fun banter, different topics to us, but still fun. And I would recommend everyone giving a listen. But you get to hear the man yourself here in our lion's den. Tommy and myself.
Nice. Yes.
Last time we had an interview, it was a little bit aggressive, but it was all out of love.
This is just good vibes. This is good card talk. Alex has some of the best tasting cards out there. Alex, we initially met when?
Culture Collision.
Culture Collision.
CC2, I believe. It was Culture Collision 2.
Yep.
I don't even remember how. I think you might have just come up to my my table and started talking to me about cards. And actually, I remember I picked up this 1911 postcard of depicting a young woman with a basketball, and it's a huge SGC slab. And Tommy pointed it out because it's obscure. Like, what is that thing? And I still have it to this day. And we talked about it for probably 20 minutes, and then we've been friends ever since.
That's usually how it goes. I saw you a ton last year when I was working for Ludex around shows. Like, I remember, Max, thank God you didn't travel up for this Las Vegas card show, man. I know Alex probably can't talk shit as much as he's still in the industry, but man, that show sucked. And me and Alex had a lot of time to just banter, talk about why buying gold flux cards, even though they're rare and they're cool, is not necessarily a good buy for you.
Alex is a part of what we like to call big card. He is big industry, so we have to watch what we criticize a little bit and make sure we monitor everything a little bit safely. Tommy is no longer traveling the shows now. I'm traveling everywhere. I know I first met Alex at Laz's New Jersey Secaucus card show. And he's like, "Hey, you know Tommy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And he's like, "Oh, wait." I'm like, "Oh, who's this, Alex?" I'm like, "Oh my God, Tommy was talking all about you. You guys were chittering and chattering, and I was chittering and chattering too. And we were talking about how you do crazy things to buy collections and you get your leads, which is fun because I'm now thinking so much about ads and getting leads and monetization, blah, blah, blah. But how you were using, Tommy's shaking his head and nodding out of confusion. But no, yeah, I remember that nugget from our conversation was cool, how you source collections and stuff. So yeah.
I remember that. I remember that very well. It was a jean jacket day, if I can recall. If I can call that back.
I've not worn the jean jacket once in Florida. It's been way too hot. It was a 90, feels like 97 today. I go to walk my dog and I'm sweating bullets. When I leave outside the garage and there's no more AC. I don't like it down here. It's not.
Dude, Max, I was telling Alex, it's the hottest day of the year in Chicago today. I'm sweating my balls off.
Fall sweat.
Balls. Imagine my boxers right now. Okay, sorry with the nonsense beginning of this episode, people. We're gonna get back on track.
Sorry to all the lady collectors listening. We didn't mean to get that graphic.
I'd be remiss if we didn't start this episode talking about the big news in the hobby, which was Max forgetting to put his do not disturb on his computer.
There's a nice little reminder every week.
That's how it goes. But it was announced that the NFLPA was rescinding their contract, ceasing their contract. We're not lawyers here.
Come on,
With
you're the lawyer
with
guy.
with Fanatics, and they said no more football cards, Fanatics. We declare. Fanatics has since put out a statement, or through lawyers put out some sort of statement about like, hey, we still have a bunch of individual football like players on contract. We still have a contract with the NFL. We're still going to put out football cards, try to stop us. So that's where we're at. Every influencer and card person who's trying to be cardnews.com has put out some sort of video, putting out some sort of statement about it. I don't think anyone really knows what's going on yet. All I know is that there's still football cards on my shelves at Target. So until those are no longer made by Panini, I'm just going to kind of wait it out. But there's a lot of implications as a collector, as card dealers, as card dealer pros. Alex, you are a famed Prism collector, I would say. You collect a lot of Prism. Me and Max have talked about kind of the lack, and I think you can counter us here, the lack of like iconic or like very sought after parallels from Prism. I think you have great taste. But let's talk about the news. What did you guys think when Darren Rovell released this tweet? What was your first thoughts? I'll go to Alex first, then Max.
I thought, man, Mahomes is only going to have 4 downtowns, and now they're that much more rare. I'm not even kidding. So I was starting to think about how does this change, the perception of like, well, this is just this 4th year insert that's a case hit, and it becomes now one of only 4, which was not, people weren't buying with that in mind. And I think that matters. So that was my first thought. I think to me, I think Panini is always going to reign true in those years where it mattered. I never really heard anybody kind of say like, I wish LeBron had a silver prism. But so I think it kind of is like whoever has the license at that given time is the most important. That's kind of my first thought about it all.
Yeah, Max, I like the downtown complete career run is now both easier to complete, but also higher demand. Maybe I like that.
I don't really like that they're terminating things short. I was thinking how that this is really just I'm going to use dog analogies again, but they could smell the meat on the bone of how Panini is prey, and that the NFLPA wants nothing to do with it. They see the struggles that Panini is having with manufacturing, with their dynamic with Fanatics. They see the war, and NFLPA is picking a side. They want to be on the winning side. They don't want to lose money. The goal is to make money today, and that's exactly what the NFLPA is thinking. By hedging their chips into the Fanatics antitrust monopoly conglomerate, they recognize that they're not going to put their money into a sinking ship that is not just in the long term going to lose its licensing, but even in the short term is showing some dysfunction. So by pivoting earlier to Fanatics, and we can explore the effective immediately and the legality of it, and I'm sure the NFLPA wouldn't have done it if it weren't something in their contract that they could exercise. But this was a move of recognizing that time is of the essence, how staying with Panini for now is a net negative and transitioning to Fanatics is a net positive. So my thinking wasn't related to cardboard. It was related to big business and big card.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where everyone went, was just like, all right, Topps Chrome football's back, let's go. But also like, what's going to happen in the next year? And I know that if you're a young old heads listener for a long time, you have heard me talk for eons about the lack of rookie cards for 2011 NBA draft players, and how Panini doubled up the next year with double rookie class, and how that kind of created some fun, weird collecting things. And I'm interested to see if something similar happens here. If Topps puts out rookie cards for guys next year who were technically rookies this year. We're already so behind on so many sets, and production is coming out so much later than I would think it's most ideal for collectors and fans alike. So I'm worried that this is just going to push people getting cards and everything even further back, which is obnoxious. But I don't think there's enough meat on the bone yet in terms of what actually is going to happen to discuss this too much more. But yes, Panini has fumbled the bag. I would say, just to throw
I
out
don't,
poor
I don't think
metaphors.
any of this happens if Panini weren't suing Fanatics and vice versa. I think that's the public signal that says to other companies that are involved with Fanatics and Panini that this is a dire situation and we need to take a stance on it. And this was the NFLPA stance. Without these antitrust suits, I don't think this would have happened.
Well, it wouldn't have happened if Fanatics bought Panini like everyone thought they were going to last year, and I think that's kind of where what's it called, the Big Bang. That was kind of the thing when
Yeah, I like it.
when the get out of here. When that deal fell through, I think just shit hit the fan. Anything can go now. I mean, Fanatics is going to have their hands full and kind of cleaning up the mess that they, I think, have in part created for themselves. But um, we'll see what happens. For now, we're still buying cards. We're still buying cool cards. I saw DelcoRips post a Mojo Prism Tyrese Maxey on his timeline today. That piqued my interest because, Alex, you've been buying Tyrese Maxey cards for 2 years, I'm sure.
Just waiting for a miracle to happen. No, I think that I'm a sucker for Prism, so I do own like 10 Tyrese Maxey blue Prisms. So I tried to go for a little set run dominance there, a little 5% ownership of the blue Prisms. This is not investment advice. I am a highly flawed card investor that loves cardboard. I should make that disclaimer because I do make sound investments, but Tyrese Maxey is one out of personal team like affinity. So,
Yeah.
But I picked up the Mojo. I thought it was a great deal. To me, it's the number one Prism parallel after gold. So, the most rare. So, out of 25, and I was excited to pick it up. Good deal on it from Bill Graffs, actually.
Oh, from Volgraph, friend of the program. You're forgetting about like pink first off the line shimmer though. That's like out of 7. Alex, since we first met at Culture Collision last year, you've grown a ton as a dealer. I feel like I've seen you buy a lot of different things, especially last year, like just kind of like figuring out what your sweet spot is. Can you talk to us a little bit about like how you started out collecting, getting kind of focusing a little bit more on where you're at now than maybe if you're collecting as a kid, but like tell us what you were doing as a kid and kind of finish the arc with where you're at now in terms of like both like what you're collecting and looking for and like some lessons you learned along the way. I'll let you do a little monologue.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my collecting journey as a kid started with Pokemon. I'm 30 years old. So like, when Pokemon was really big in 1999, 2000, I was at the prime age to collect it. So I have a memory of crying in the grocery store because my mom would not purchase me a booster box. That's my kind of one of the biggest memories I have from collecting was being upset from not getting a booster box, which is kind of funny. And fast forward to like way later, I had my grandpa gave me some cards, but I never really took interest for me. I was always a huge sports fan, fantasy football, all that kind of stuff. But, didn't collect cards heavily or of any like significance for a long time. And then along came NBA Top Shot. So NBA Top Shot comes out and I'm in the entrepreneurial mode as I typically am. And I kind of just heard the concept and believed in it and thought that it had potential. And I was buying packs when they were $9, when you could just buy unlimited $9 packs. And it ended up going on ESPN and just kind of blew up. And I had this huge win from collecting, right? So I had a James Wiseman that I pulled. I spent like $30 on these packs, like 3 packs. A James Wiseman I flipped for $2,000 because it went on ESPN. It was only out of like 1,000. And then I sell the James Wiseman. And so I'm like, man, collecting, investing in sports, like this is fun. The stock market has been giving me a lot of trouble. It's this like AMC GameStop like debacle of 2020. and maybe I should be investing in sports because like this is what I know about and love anyway. And somebody like coincidentally, like maybe a week later, actually posted that they picked up optic football mega boxes from a Walmart, and they knew that they were potentially more valuable than the price that they paid. And they just kind of said, is anybody a card collector in here? And one of my friends that was along for the NBA Top Shot journey, it was a card collector at the time, buys one of the optic megas. And I just said, well, if he's doing it, I'll do it. So I buy one too. I rip a Joe Burrow. Long story short, I really catch the bug, right? So I'm like, man, cards are great. Like, I can make money from this. I can just rip stuff from the wild and make money. A million lessons learned. That's not the case, right? You just can't just go to your Walmart, rip the boxes open, and become a millionaire. But soon after that, I start to go to shows. I start to realize that I should be setting up at shows. So I do my first setup with a bunch of base cards and junk, and just kind of fake it till I make it and keep going to card shows. Meanwhile, I kind of always had this entrepreneurial spirit, and I'm running my own business that coincidentally was kind of winding down at the time. So I kind of just switched the focus and decided to wind all the way down and then ramp all the way up to cards out of just like a Hail Mary to follow my passion that I kind of discovered. So I did that for a long time. I met Tommy along the way, and learned a lot about dealing and selling, and learned a ton of lessons, made so many mistakes, but somehow it kind of wiggled my way into taking my old career and my experience in the corporate world and finding a card company that would give me a chance. And, that was kind of like the best of both worlds for me to like keep going into cards, make more consistent money, and, not have to rely on the hustle and flips as much. Cause again, like I have a wife, and, I got a lot of bills to pay, and I needed to get some serious cash flow going. So that's kind of where we are now. And I run a card show. I buy, sell, trade singles, and then I am, a director of sales at a card company. And that's kind of my trinity of happiness here. And then I get to talk on cool card podcasts, and that kind of brings us back to today.
Hell yeah, I love that story. Do you mind telling people like what your business was before, and like kind of how you got it? And you haven't even name dropped your business that you work for, so I feel like I got to tee you up for that.
Yeah. So the business before, I was a e-commerce consultant. Like I ran, A/B tests for e-commerce websites, and just kind of gave them advice on how to make more money. So, that's what I used to do. And then, the business I work for now is Card Dealer Pro. If you haven't heard of Card Dealer Pro, it takes JPEG images of sports cards and turns them into completed eBay listings. It solves the pain point that it takes forever to list your cards on eBay. So if you've never tried with Card Dealer Pro, go to carddealerpro.com, 7-day free trial. There's my little plug.
Max, have you ever tried it? And you don't need to give your opinion on it. Just have you tried it?
I haven't, just because I'm very cynical on technology's ability to properly get the nomenclature that I like onto card listings, let alone the fears of misidentification. I'm not really worried about the misidentification as I am the nomenclature presets, and how I'm very picky with how I want my titles worded. So that's been my apprehension. Additionally, though, I enjoy taking my pictures by hand because I live in the Stone Age.
You grind, Max. You grind. Alex, you threw something out there that is kind of unique for at least our show and the guests that we've had. We've had some big industry guests, some big card guests, but we haven't really had anyone who really nitty gritty runs their own card show. So I'm very intrigued about like how you even like came up with this idea, And like, what's your show called? Like, what's your kind of mission with the show side of things? Because I do feel like you've got your hand in every pot in the card industry right now. It seems like why? What attracted you to the shows?
Yeah, the shows were built out of like, kind of ironically, how Max and I met was at a show in very North Jersey that's over 2 hours away from where I live. And the show's just kind of the idea came from like seeing the opportunity. So I knew that I had to really run my card business, and like even just to kind of satisfy my wants and needs as a collector, I had to drive for hours to be able to do that. So the thesis kind of came from that like, or the hypothesis I should say, is like, well, if we build a show closer to me, then there's other people that are doing this drive too, that we can just have our own show. Like this can be done. And we started sourcing things, and it's really hard to find a cheap venue for a card show, I found. So that's like the huge challenge. But eventually we found one that worked, and we ran our first 50 table show, and we've run 3 since. We've expanded to 110 tables, and that's a great size for us, and we're able to sell that out. It's the Brotherly Love Card Show in Voorhees, New Jersey. Our next one is October 29th. I love running the show. I get an immense sense of pride from like standing there looking out at my like show and just seeing people there. Like 750 people came to shop at this this card show that we thought about and just did. I mean, so like above and beyond financial motivations for myself and family, like the pride I get from kind of like growing the collector circle and just watching like business happen that I enabled and organized it's great. It's like very I don't know. It's just a really cool thing to be able to do. So I'm really happy I did it, and I want to keep it going. And I want the Brotherly Love Card Show to be, a household name among, people that attend the Dallas Card Show. I'd love if they all would know what that show is. That's kind of the end goal. So we have big aspirations and hope one day we'll get there.
Max, have you attended the Brotherly Love Card Show?
I haven't. It's just too far south for me, just because I go to the aforementioned Laz show in North Jersey, and that's about an hour drive for me. And just to get my geography out, Long Island is east and north, and Alex is south near Philadelphia. So Alex is driving 2 hours north, then I'm 1 hour east of that. So really, in order to get to Alex's show, I have to go 1 hour west and then 2 hours south. So I hope you got. I mean, also I'm not relocated, but it would have been a 6 hour commute. I love you guys. I don't love it. I don't love you guys that much. And I will hopefully love you guys soon enough to make a 6 hour drive. But I am always rooting and supporting you guys.
That's a new goal, like show goal just added right there, is to be good enough where Max says, I have to drive. Like financially, you just can't even say no to it. That's going to be our
goal. Exactly. Like, and I'm tough to do anything 2 hours for a car show drive. Some people are willing to drive like 4 hours for a local show, and I'm like, you're crazy. But it's like if it's 2 hours for a local show, I can't. I really start to do the game theory. I start to do the behavioral economist, Tommy Vaughn, Nash equilibrium stuff.
And me and Alex actually had a conversation that like stuck in my head for some reason when this is pre-collects, pre-card dealer pro Alex and the Vegas card show. We were just sitting there. You were like, damn, I don't know if this is gonna be worth it. Like I flew all the way out here. I am really like making sure that these trips are profitable for me because I don't want to like end up spending all this money on flights and hotels and whatever. I was like, damn, that just seems stressful as hell. To like be like worried about selling as a means.
That show ran me out of business. No, I'm just kidding. But it was rough. It was a rough show. It was a rough time in the market. Like it was October 2022, which if it was like really bad. The cash was not moving. It was a universal experience. But yeah, it was like that. I mean, I had to scrape by and like bare bones it. And and it was still kind of my learning journey. And there's a lot of people that are better than me at like that activity I've learned. So
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
also something to learn about.
I think it's interesting because both of us do a lot of card buying and selling, but you operate deliberately more towards the hold and invest tangent of it, and I very much am more operative towards the I need to be moving things at all times. I have to be a cyborg annihilating every good deal in sight. And so far it's worked well for me. And sometimes that's just with one or two card sales that just work. But even just in your language, I mean, you're saying how, oh, I didn't sell enough. I think entirely of the shows like I need to buy because I can buy, I can sell my cards online. Whether or not I sell something is gravy. I mean, because maybe I would find that seller online anyway, or I'd find a seller willing to pay similar, or there's eBay. But my avenue at shows isn't to sell for the most part. My avenue at shows is to find the card that I know that I never would have seen online, and the money is in the buys, and then to then sell it to the next guy. Sometimes.
Sometimes. Alex, you've now been to shows kind of like all over the country, right? Like, what have you noticed about like differences? And I didn't really mean for this to be a whole card show segment here, but like I think it's worth discussing because it's not something that like we don't always have guests who've been to this many shows and like all over the country and are this invested in that kind of world. So like, have you noticed any like regional differences, or is it more like depending on the size of the show? Like, what kind of makes a show to you, and like what are some like if you have any anecdotes of like certain shows that you like or like weird things?
Yeah, I think that it's so interesting, the geography of shows and how it relates to inventory. Like that to me is like a fascinating topic that I think about every show I visit. And I guess my examples of that are as you travel closer to New York City, you'll notice the vintage will go up. And it's correlated with like in the 1950s, New York City was the absolute center of the universe and had all these baseball teams and the people of that time were the big baseball collectors closer to New York. Like everything was very East Coast bias. And when you go to shows in the West Coast, like the Burbank show, you'll notice way more wrestling, way more UFC, way more entertainment stuff, and just an appetite for that kind of showy, like Hollywood. That's how I describe it, kind of vibes. And I think that to me is just like fascinating, interesting. And I love the going to a show and just like looking at the diversity of like what people collect and how it relates to geography. I think and also one other thing that's interesting is how different cities do or don't really collect their own players. Cause I've made that mistake as a professional card dealer. Like I'm going to, buy a bunch of Trey Youngs and go to Culture Collision and sell all the Trey Youngs. Cause there's gotta be like so many Trey Young stands in Atlanta. And like, yeah, it's not as easy as that. Like there's a lot of nuance and every city's a little different. And, I found that Trey Young doesn't move that great in Atlanta, actually. So at least that was my anecdotal experience. But yeah.
I think it's very, I have either the privilege or the curse of really being immersed in three strong local markets for when I was buying on cardboard. I obviously spent up and grown up my entire life in New York, and I've gone to a lot of shows in the New York, New Jersey area. I went to college in North Carolina and had a lot of immersion there in the local cardboard scene, as well as now in Florida. When I was in North Carolina, it was incredibly saturated with Carolina Panthers and Atlanta Braves fans. That is what moved, and that local buying and selling power was very palpable. You could feel it in the showroom and how Braves play, especially Acuna, just sold better. Now, when I'm in Miami, everyone wants everyone wants Tyler Harrow, which still kind of surprises me. And that strong local fan that is at the dealer saying, yeah, I have my twos and I'm going to sell them for above comps. And no, you're not, but you can dream. That's very, you can feel that. When in New York, and maybe I think this is overall the Northeast as well, as you go more and more in the Northeast, there is more and more vintage. Sure, you get some Yankees collectors and Mets collectors and Jets collectors in the New York tri-state area, but it's definitely on an area by area basis. When you get to bigger shows, it matters less and less. At the Dallas Card Show, it does not matter if you are selling Cowboys and Mavericks, you are at a national level card show, so it just doesn't matter. But when you're at the smaller local shows, I've noticed that there is a negative correlation when you go more and more northeast to how strong the market is for local players.
Yeah. And I feasted in the Midwest on my West Coast teams because I knew no one was going to buy. Alex, I think the first card I ever got from you was a Kevon Looney patch.
Yeah.
And
you picked it up on a story sale, and I held it for you for like 6 months, I think.
that was I appreciate it. It's a nasty game worn Kevon Looney card, so obviously that fired me up.
Is he still awarded?
He's a lifer, man. If he's never going on another team, I don't think. I could buy Kevon Looney cards in Shipshewana, Indiana, all day long for like pennies because no one's gonna buy any of that shit, man. People are gonna barely buy that in California. If someone had a card that I could get, like for one of my, like a niche player on a PC team for the West Coast in a Midwest show, I could just feast all day. So that was fun. But Alex,
I'm going on the tangent. What is the most you would pay for a Kevon Looney 1-of-1? I think this is a good thought exercise.
His black. See, like that's the thing, and great transition actually. Like, what would be the best Kevon Looney card for me to have? I don't know. Like, probably like a blue cracked ice rookie prism, and that's like I would pay like I paid $20 for that. I don't know. Alex, I got fired up. I woke up fired up this morning to talk to you because it's been forever, I feel like, since we've had someone on the podcast who is very knowledgeable on modern basketball collecting. And I feel like Max talks about baseball cards too much. And I sometimes just want to talk basketball cards. And you're the best guest for this because you've been feasting on Tyrese Maxey for a couple of years. You're a big basketball head. What have you learned about basketball cards over the last couple of years? And like what ones attract you?
Yeah, so for basketball cards, it's all about, to me, it's about the potential to really like surprise and delight, and you have to be a certain type of player to really go up in value a ton. So one, your perception can't already be that you're going to drop 30 a night. But like if you can break that, then and start to do it, then your price could go up a lot. Typically the players that are most collectible are guards, right? And scoring guards at that. And, one of the things like key early indicators of basketball prospects that I like to look at is like a little too in depth, but the like off the dribble 3-point shooting percentage. If you're a guy that can do that, you can create your own shot. So when you get the opportunity to be quote unquote the guy, you could potentially step up and start to create like a massive amount more points. Anthony Simons is a big one that like I like to kind of look at. He's going to get his opportunity finally this year, and I'm finally going to move his 101 Kaleido Revolution auto that I've owned forever. But yeah, like to me, it's like avoid the big men. They just don't sell. Jokic, like he's maybe an exception, and he could become an exception, but to me, I kind of avoid them. And I also like to stick to like tried and true parallels, like Prizm True Colors, as opposed to, people kind of get caught up in like grabbing the fast breaks and thinking that they're going to be liquid, and they're just not. So grabbing the tried and true and what everyone else is going to be willing to kind of spend their money on is kind of worked out best for me in basketball collecting.
I love that. First of all, I love the off the dribble shooting percentage shout out there. That's the sort of in-depth knowledge that we're trying to share here on the Young Old Heads podcast, because Max is over here buying Bones Highland and freaking Desmond Bain shit all the time. And I'm like, dude.
All right, stop having fun, okay? I didn't know fun was illegal in Tommy's eyes.
This is the shit on Max episode. I'm sorry.
Come at me a little harder. Give me your words.
I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry.
No, continue.
You took it a little different route than I was expecting there, Alex. I do appreciate how you evaluate prospects, but I also like love nerding out on certain sets in basketball. And you shouted out, you're a blue prism lifer. I think that you've kind of made that clear on the timelines, and I think that the blue ice is where we love the blue ice prisms as well. But there's also just like a lot of filler basketball cards out there that unfortunately just don't get a lot of love, at least on the market, that are kind of fun to buy sometimes. What are some of the more niche products that you found actually do move more, or like you just like enjoy personally? Do you have any like other than Prism
Yeah,
and
I'm not.
Rev?
I think like enjoy personally is the key word here, because Prism is, if you're trying to resell, like you might want to stick like kind of to the advice that I talked about with the true colors. But as a basketball card collector, here are some of the things that I love. Like I love Court Kings and I love Revolution. To me, Revolution should be way more expensive. It does not make any sense. They're beautiful cards. They come out looking amazing. The QC is good. It's a great set, and it says the parallels in the back. I love it. I love Revolution so much. The price point's great. It gets no respect. I've owned that Avery Simons 101 rookie auto for a long time, and there's no recognition of those parallels. Therefore, people don't appreciate them quite like I do. And Court King's like another great set with the 3 different tiers and just awesome designs. It's a beautiful set. I like the blank slate is an awesome insert that's super rare. It can be really cool for all. It sells a lot for Shaq. Blank slate is like an expensive card. So those are 2 of my like niche Panini sets that really get me going. And then I'm a big like Topps Chrome refractor guy for the older stuff. I'm really excited for Topps Chrome refractors to come back to basketball. So even though I love my Prism stuff, I can really appreciate kind of Topps Chrome kind of coming back to the basketball world. And I'm excited for that.
What is the Grail Allen Iverson card? I've seen you post some Allen Iverson cards.
All right, so
What is the DelcoRips?
I have some bad news on that. So I didn't plan on bringing this up on the pod, but I'll just do it anyway. But I met Allen Iverson at the National, right? And he brushed me. He just brushed me off. I won't go into any more detail than that, but it wasn't a pleasant interaction. It wasn't that he did anything wrong. He just didn't give me much of anything. So the Allen Iverson collection, I kind of came to this realization, like if somebody in real life that I own this very expensive PC of brushes me, in the same day I met Dr. J, Barry Sanders, and Jerry Rice, and they were all gentlemen and shook my hand and looked me in the eye. I was like, I have to move this. I'm moving all of these. So they're all gone. I sold my entire Allen Iverson PC. The only thing I kept was the Sports Illustrated for Kids PSA 9, which is only pop 5, none higher. So I kept that. That's going in the stash. But so, honestly, there's no Grail anymore Allen Iverson cards. I'm out. I lost my collecting flair for him. He ruined a little bit of my dream there because, it was just a negative experience upon that meeting.
Yeah, I never want to meet Klay Thompson for that exact reason. I think I just can't do it. I don't think I should do it. And Max should never meet Luis Severino. I feel like that's.
Yeah, you don't want to meet your heroes, kids. Especially meet your collecting heroes. I actually met Jamie Newman one time when I was a freshman before Jamie Newman, my college quarterback. I met him once before my freshman year, and we both didn't get into a party, which was pretty funny. But now I have this Black Finite 1 in my hand, which is cool.
And what someone who listens to the podcast said, Max, that's not even him in the picture.
It's not
right?
even Jamie Newman, which is correct. This picture is not of Jamie Newman. I have I have an Optic Collegiate Gold Vinyl that looks sick that I have to dig out and pair it and get a picture with this.
You got it. It's all about the pairings.
I went a little bit of tangent. Don't meet your heroes. Allen Iverson, from the bottom of my heart, fuck you. Alex like a piece of garbage because he isn't.
We will never have Allen Iverson on this podcast.
No,
I swear on God.
He's been trying to get on too, but
I know he's been.
If I ever see him at a card show, I'm like, hey, that guy at Collix? Yeah, you're done.
You're done. You remember that interaction now and everything. Um, the most famous person me and Max ever almost had on the podcast was this rapper. Uh, Alex, you're a hip hop head, I think, right?
I,
See,
I don't know if I could go that far, but I
he,
do enjoy hip hop. Yeah.
his name is IDK, and he put out a card set with an album like 2 years ago, a year ago, and I was like, this is dope. Like they kind of looked like Pokemon cards, but they were like very nice cards, and I have them somewhere in my apartment. Um, and I DM'd him just cold, like with the TV sports cards Twitter. I always had like a hyped ego. I was like, if you click on me, I have a lot of followers and a lot of engagement, so it's like I seem kind of legit here. Um, and I was like, dude, like saw you put out cards of the album, like would love to have you on the podcast. He's like, oh yeah, like I'm down, like blah blah blah. And then I like hit him up again. He's like, yeah, like send me a link to like your podcast or something. And I sent him a link, and it's like YouTube. Like obviously not that many people listen to us in general, so it's like
before at this point in our defense.
Yeah, it was early on, and then he just ghosted after that. But so we had a few back and forths. He ghosted.
He did you a
us.
favor. That's
he did. Hey, he didn't ghost you. You just left him speechless. Believe me, I get that all the time.
That's what you. That's the hinge. Is that your hinge line, man?
No, it isn't. I don't get ghosted. I just leave women speechless.
My God, I love it. Alex, Revolution is fire. I think long term, like Revolution is going to be like, if you know, you know. Like basketball card collectors will always be paying premium for like the cosmics and the on card autos. Like those things are just fire, and I think those will stand kind of the test of Topps. Like I think Topps is going to have their hands full trying to come up with something that like is new, because I know everyone's hyped about Topps Chrome basketball, but I don't really know what other products they're going to put out there that are going to get people that interested about basketball cards again. Like I think Panini, at least in this end game Panini that we're in right now, it's like no one gives a fuck about Chronicles. They've kind of run the table unless you're in the background of a John Morant card. Like no one cares. And it's like, how is Topps going to kind of like change that and try to get people interested in something that's not Topps Chrome? Because yeah, Topps Chrome is cool, but you know, I'm a collector. I like to buy a lot of different stuff. I like to have a lot of different shit. And like it, as much hate as Panini got for having like Optic and Prism and Select as like kind of three products that kind of share a similar kind of realm. It's like those are still three different products that people could kind of like for their own reasons and collect for their own reasons. And while the value isn't always there, it is really fun to collect that shit, because it's like I can collect Klay Thompson blue Optic run pretty easily without having to worry about like 1 year of it being like $1 million or something, or like
2020.
Whatever. And I think the golds are annoying. Like gold being out of 10 in Panini product, me and Max have talked about, it like creates this kind of like almost artificial price increase where it's like impossible to. But like I was watching a mosaic insert of Klay Thompson gold out of 10 sold for like $200, and like you can buy numbered rookie autos for cheaper than that. And it's like that's really weird, and like not necessarily something that I kind of enjoy as a collector, because it's like if I'm ever gonna get the rainbow or whatever, you got to buy this out of 10. Well, Topps Chrome's out of 50, literally 5 times the print run. Well, even though it's small, it's still like substantial. That was always something I had a gripe with Panini and basketball, and I'm talking like they're already dead, but they kind of are, so that's fair.
But if I ever see Topps Dynasty basketball, I'm gonna puke. Like that's like I don't understand. I completely agree with you. I started to think about like which top sets that are like out there will become, football sets, basketball sets in the future. And I just don't, you're right. They don't have enough Topps, to me, doesn't have enough variety to kind of right now meet the needs of basketball cards. Because basketball collectors are used to collecting a variety of different looking cards. And I feel like for Topps baseball, they do produce different sets, but they kind of follow this like structure, at least in my head, like very similar patterns. That is like Panini's kind of, they got something for everybody, and there's no structure. Every set's unique, like a lot of variety. So I'll miss that. I'll miss the some of those sets that are like wildly different and don't fit the program, if you will.
Yeah, I totally think that Topps is just going to have issues getting people to care about anything else. And I think Panini at least did a semi-decent job where, like, you mentioned Court Kings, and I'm like, oh, yeah, Court Kings is, like, super clean. Like, a lot of collectors really respect it, even if they don't love modern, like, cards. Like, they respect the coolness of it. Like, the Aurora inserts and, like, the rare inserts, Max. Max, what rare inserts are you going to miss the most from the Panini era of cards in general? As we finish our moratorium on Panini here,
I'm going to miss Kaboom just because of the consistency they've had with it, and that they've done it, I believe, every year since 2012 or 2013 or something like that. And that you can see the growth in the design from cartoons to more fireworks and stunks and stuff like that. And it's not just caricatures of the players. And this probably correlates to the hobby's glorification of it and how they've gone up in price and have increased in fanfare. Therefore, more effort has gone into the insert. But not to say that the original inserts were low effort, but it's just something dynamic that you can see that's reflective of the hobby and growth over the past decade and change. And it's going to be unfortunate to not see them evolve every single year, again, because it's been something with Panini ever since they've started basketball cards.
I think the best thing that's ever going to happen to the Panini, like long-term value of Panini basketball cards and Panini football cards, is the shortness of the run of them. I think, like, to go full circle on the point that Alex brought up right off the bat, like, it's going to be cool that there's not 30 years of kabooms. Like, it's going to be way cooler that there's only 9 or 10 years of basketball kabooms and whatever. Like,
sorry, I'm cutting you off because I want to make it an important point, and my words are more important than yours.
That's how it goes. It's the Max Cards podcast.
Yeah, it's my podcast, and Tommy is my slave producer. No, kidding. No, so are we going to look back in 40 years and just think, wow, Panini had a nice 12-year run. They are the Pacific of the 2010s. Like, is that something that we could realistically have?
I mean,
You're allowed to,
Pacific.
I grant you right.
Only people who listen to this podcast care about Pacific, I think. But, like, I think PMGs is the best comp. Like, people still give a lot of fucks about PMGs, even though they aren't making those anymore. And even, like, the later years of PMGs kind of suck. Like,
Panini might not necessarily go away too. It may exist in other like IPs, like soccer or something like that. Like, so it could.
Like, Upper Deck exists, but
yeah, true.
It doesn't.
But like, think about like how iconic some of their big things, like exquisite patch autos and stuff. People are like, I saw somebody on Shine was opening exquisite boxes, chasing those patch autos to this day. They're like, maybe people will be ripping 2012 Prism, trying to get the golds even to that day.
And I think people still rip for Star Rubies and PMGs and the metal and the iconic basketball sets, but they are recognized as sets that are relevant to that era and nothing else. Their value, sentimental and monetarily, has lasted, but it hasn't. I can't even. I'm sorry, I can't even tell you what company makes metal. I have no idea.
Fleer.
Quick, is it Fleer?
Yeah, Fleer metal.
Quick IQ test to the guests and co-hosts on the podcast.
You clearly have never spent hours of your life digging through databases of cards and analyzing
basketball teams I've been cut from.
Well, I'm lucky for you, Max.
I've been told my jump shot is broken, and no matter how hard I try, I can't fix it.
Well, guess what, Max? We're going to be talking about something that you're actually good at now, which is buying cards on eBay.
I was going to say, I can't swing a baseball either. Or a bat. Can't swing either.
Alex, for the rare people that make it this far into an episode, me and Max end every episode by talking about 2, 3, 4. Sometimes Max lists off like 15 to 20, and I just sit here kind of glazed eyes, hoping that the list ends. These are cards that you bought on eBay recently. And you don't have to do the most recent ones. You can just we'll give you a month time range here. Interesting cards that you bought, why you bought them. If you're down to talk about the price that you got, it matter why you pulled the trigger. Leave that up to you. Max, do you want to show Alex how it's done, and then I'll close this out?
Yeah.
So you, Alex, me.
Ooh. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna highlight some cards that I bought in person real quick, and I'm gonna speak quickly because I have cards that I'm excited about, and I also want to make sure I'm being respectful for everyone else because this is a very respectful podcast. I have a Michael Jordan 2014 SP auto in his University of North Carolina uniform. This is the second Michael Jordan auto I've ever owned. It's a PSA 9. I think the auto is going to 10, and I think I'm going to crack and resub and go to Beckett at the Burbank Card Show and try to get a 9.5 with 10 auto because the 10 auto really matters in these.
How long are
I
you gonna wait in line?
several hours, over under 3 hours because that's how long it took at the National. I bought these from the same person, but an Aaron Judge Red Wave Finest auto out of 25, back at 9.5, 10. And I also bought a VGS 9.5 1993 SP foil Derek Jeter rookie card. VGS 9.5. The grading premiums of them is really weird, but I've never owned one before. So that's cool.
Can you tell me that? I'm sure most people know,
Yeah, go for it.
but what is that grading premium on that 93 SP Derek
So
Jeter?
like the PSA nines and VGS 9. So the VGS 9.5 Ningems do like 5,000. A VGS 9 does like 500. A VGS 9.5 True Gem does like 15K. A PSA 10 does 300K.
The pop on that PSA 10 is ridiculously low.
It's like 120 copies or something like that. It's nuts.
That's the classic card that
Yeah.
if you scanned it with this card scanning app, you would see some weird pricing and have no idea what you're holding in your hand, I think.
Is that the biggest like price disparity for condition?
I
Like
have to think between the
league?
9 and the 10, it has to be.
Yeah.
I bet like some 86 Fleer weirdness would get involved there, though. You got those weird, like, random dudes in 86 Fleer who have like 10 PSA 10s, so that shit goes for like $1 bajillion too.
True.
Yeah,
You
that
got
makes
that
sense.
shit.
Okay.
All right.
Other stuff, quick for eBay
No,
stuff.
keep going.
Yeah. Topps Finest Orange Wave Auto, Corbin Carroll. Topps Finest Gold Auto, Anthony Volpe. A Panini Mosaic Steph Curry Gold Mosaic out of 10, Stairmasters, PSA 9. I bought a Chet Holmgren tie-dye prism out of 25 auto from Select. I bought a Shohei Ohtani negative refractor PSA 9 from Topps Chrome. And I've dabbled a little bit in 2023 Topps Chrome. I bought a Volpe radiating rookie. I bought, I think, 2 or 3 Adley Rutschman grade radiant rookies. I have True Gold autos of Michael Harris and Adley Rutschman coming in. I have a True Gold non-auto of Adley Rutschman. I think I bought a rating rookie of Corbin Carroll. I have a Jackson Holiday first Bowman Sapphire. And I think I mentioned this already. I have like 3 like Adley radiating rookies coming in or something. So I'm all over the place. I now feel confident to buy Topps Chrome to try to make money. I don't know, or I could just be like a collector like Tommy. Tommy collects the environment.
What's what's up with radiating rookies? What does that mean?
I like them.
What?
So again, I was saying this in our Topps Chrome episode, but a lot of people give the hate for the frozen fractors and the taco fractors, but a lot of love has been given to the radiating rookies, which is a short printed, it has like a nuclear atomic design to it. It has this orange and red or yellow and red kind of like lines as if it's like zooming into something. And it's a different image than the usual rookies. They just look kind of sweet. People have been gravitating towards them. I think the odds of hitting on is like 1 out of every 636 hobby packs or something like that. And off the top of my mind, I think the print run is like 250 or less each. So anything like that where people actually think is cool and the quality control isn't horrendous and it's of good play, it's like, sure, I'll buy it and I'll mess around and I'll do it. I'll have some silly goose moments and have a blast.
So is it a parallel if it's a different image, or is it its own insert set?
I believe I'm going to double check my nomenclature. As a chemist, I care about my nomenclature very much. So yeah, it is RR dash the subset number. So Adley Rutschman is RR-1. So it is technically a short printed insert subset, not a parallel.
I'm sure the scanning apps are having a fun time with that one.
Yeah.
One fun fact for people, Max. This is something that we've talked about before, and then I'll hand it off to Alex. But everyone always says don't buy new products, but new products have the most ignorant people ripping them. So you have the most ignorant eBay sellers posting random things of these new products. You can buy like some rare shit of the new Topps Chrome from eBay buyers or eBay sellers who have like no feedback, are posting like Topps Chrome name, like that's it, or it's like just weird ass shit like that. Like you can find steals on new products on eBay still.
Oh
So
yeah,
don't buy shit just because it's new.
I love digging at the 10 feedback to 100 feedback buyer, especially if it's sub 1,000. That's even better. But that's the sweet spot where it's like, okay, I feel like pretty comfy that they're not going to grade whatever they own, and that maybe I can get lucky.
Yeah.
Under 10, I get worried that they're not going to ship it properly.
And on that note, Alex, what have you been buying recently?
Okay, so most of my buys have focused around basketball. I've been picking up a lot of steam in the Discord recently, Ryan's Card LLC Discord, which you all know about. A lot of steam in there recently for whatever reason, but I picked up a Shea Blue Prism. I think the Thunder are going to do a lot of cool things this year. A lot of hype around Shea. I picked up an Emmanuel Quickly Blue Prism PSA 10, a Giddy Red Prism PSA 10. Here's an eBay buy, like a Tyrese Maxey 2022 Blue Prism for 99 cents. Completes my my year run of all of his Blue Prisms from every year from the first 3 years of his career. And I picked up today the Mojo, and then here the round out. Here's the play, and I'll give the economics behind the deal and the thinking. So this was an eBay comp decision, which is I never take lightly to set my own public comp here, but on a big card especially. But I picked up a Jalen Hurts 2020 contenders, true contenders, important distinction, playoff ticket to 99.
All right, clarify. I'm ignorant. What does true contenders mean?
As opposed to optics, so paper contenders, you know. So so paper contenders, and it is an SGC 9. It is current jersey number 1 of 99, which is in my head, I want the 1, not the 2, for that distinction. The reason I picked it up and I set my max bid was I saw comps this summer for a PSA 9 playoff ticket do around 15 to 1600 multiple times. There was one that went a little lower, but I really think the current market for a PSA 9 non-jersey number approaches around 1500 right now. And I thought if I could get the SGC 9 for 12 and it be jersey number, then all I'd have to do is crack and resubmit. And, if I get the same grade, then I now own a heightened copy. So I made as a little grading arbitrage, a little jersey number arbitrage, and we'll see if it works. Worst case scenario, I own a cool card of the quarterback of my favorite football team.
Do you feel?
How dare you enjoy owning a card from your favorite football team? Sorry, Tommy, I'll let you speak.
No, you're good. I was about to say a very similar comment. Like, Alex, how much do you think you are into cards right now because the teams that you support are good?
It's not related, but it definitely fuels buys. So it's cool that the Eagles are pretty much the best they've been in my lifetime consistently. And, that's cool. And and their quarterback is highly collected right now. So that makes it really cool and fun. I think that does play an impact on the collecting experience. I think I'm so addicted and so far into the game at this point that it would not matter one iota if both teams started tanking. But I won't lie to you and say that it doesn't make it more enjoyable and easier. For me, it's easier to pick up a big card when there's fandom attached to it. And there's also proximity of, people that are also other fans that could potentially buy this from me.
That's fair. Where do you buy most of your cards? Are you buying a lot on eBay, or are you on auction sites in general, or where are you buying?
If I'm buying, it depends the purpose there. So if I'm buying to flip or to have margin on, I'm typically trying to buy on Instagram or Discord. I've kind of made a pretty strong move away from setting the comp, if you will. I will buy on eBay, but if I do buy on eBay and it's a large card, then my strategy, or it's an investment piece, if my strategy is to hold it a good bit or a few cycles. So waiting for another comp to come. So I do I hold cards longer. Like that Jalen Hurts will not be for sale on a story sale tomorrow, and that's the only reason I feel comfortable even sharing that much about the comp. So that's kind of the way I do it. And I don't know that it's the best way. It's just the way that I move.
What is the true Jalen Hurts jersey number?
To me, so he wears 1 currently, and he was a rookie too. So to me, the true Jalen Hurts jersey number is 1. He always wanted to be 1. So it's kind of to me, it's if that's how it's going to be going forward, then you just go after. I would want to own the current jersey number, not even though the jersey on the actual card is not 1. I want to own 1.
I respect that take. You're also maybe the first person to say Instagram on this podcast is one of the main ways of you buying. Was Instagram your first social media for cards that you got involved with? And if you have any tips for people on how to operate card Instagram, me and Max are not the best at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think my Instagram is really, that's where I discovered card social media. So, me kind of becoming a dealer, the first step of that was creating a card Instagram. And I give this advice to all people that are getting serious about collecting and into cards. I give the advice of start, create a brand and start your own page and post your cards, because the point of cards is to share them with other card people and people that enjoy them. And I don't know, there's not as much enjoyment in it just in an isolation by yourself completely. So share them out there and get that going, and comment on a lot of people's stuff and follow a lot of accounts and build your engagement and just build your community. And I found that I was able to do that on Instagram. And there's people that are in Ryan's Discord that know me from the early Instagram days, just from kind of posting. I post almost every day, or I try to once every other day, a new card that I picked up.
Good advice. Commenting on Instagram is underrated. I love commenting on people that I don't know as cards, saying that it's a cool card. It's usually how you make the connection there. Max, how's your Instagram game going?
I have it on. So, no, I mean, because I usually do my reflective life update with Tommy pre-game or post-game of the podcast. But I moved down to Florida, and I think when you move or when you exhibit a large amount of change, you either you have another opportunity to either harden yourself or adapt or change or whatever. I'm speaking in a lot of bullshit hippie language right now, but I feel a lot of my habits kind of realigned when moving to Florida, and I'm trying to recalibrate all of them. I'm not going to the gym nearly as much as I used to, and I hate that. And one of the habits I put in an app to deliberately try to do every day is to make a daily Instagram post, because I really don't like doing it on my own, and it's not an organic habitual activity for me. So it was something that I was a little bit better at pre-move. I think now post-move, I've slacked a little bit posting my game on Instagram. But there are people that I enjoy and that I talk to that are more exclusively on Instagram. So I do enjoy interacting with them, and it is a little funny when I do an Instagram post and they didn't see it first on Twitter, and I get surprised by that.
Yeah, me and Max are just too addicted to Twitter. I can post a card on Twitter and have if it's a cool card, a lot of people interact with it, and on Instagram I'll post something I think is an absolute banger and gets 8 likes, and I'm just
see, that's my experience on Twitter, because my Twitter is not as enriched as the Cards Max and TV Sports.
When you become a veteran shit poster like me, you start to garner the more negative attraction and trolls in the best way, and I give them more to eat. I love my trolls.
True.
I'm gonna take this as my turn now. Last week I did all my ComC buys, and had Max guess them, but I've just been buying a lot of baseball cards. I wish I had. Just people don't sell cool basketball cards necessarily during the offseason.
That's my problem. People don't sell cool basketball cards.
I know, dude. I've been trying to find good like Warriors Klay Thompson cards on eBay lately. I've literally been searching,
Find me
and
find me some cool Knicks Mellow cards that don't cost like $100.
I'm trying, dude. I'm trying.
Yeah.
Um, so here's what
Slade.
I bought. I decided that this card was too cheap. Max. This is the Shohei Ohtani Series 1 250 gold cup. Um, I just feel
Oh,
like
$30. That's my guess.
yeah, $30.
Jeez, that's too low. That's too low. He has two
Too
rookie cups. That's the thing. He has a hitting and a pitching.
I know, but the hitting is better to me. I don't know. I think this card is sick. I bought two actually. The rare TV sports cards move buying two of the same card.
I love that you have the Ichiro. The
Yeah,
Ichiro.
I have the Ichiro Topps Chrome SP of the Shohei Topps
And you
Chrome.
bought for like $40.
No, I got that for $100 actually.
Okay, and now they're doing like 250.
And that's sick. But I don't know. I just want Shohei cards. I just want them, and I want to have them forever. I just how
Congratulations,
do you not?
you are a real human being because every human being wants Shohei cards. And me, as my evil broker self, gets to hustle and make hundreds off peons that would think like that. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, Shohei is hot. I love that people want Shohei. I love that I want Shohei. I love that I get to hold Shohei in my hands and then get to move it to someone else, and I get to uh, give it some Bezos and then push it to the next person.
So I agree. I bought two so that if they ever do get their fair market value, I might throw it up on eBay for like $150 or something to try to get that. Because the Trouts do like 100. And I know the Trout Gold Cup is like a sick card. The 2013 Mike Trout card is just like kind of an iconic Topps card. So that's fair. But I had a little bit of FOMO with another modern baseball player. I bought a 2023 Topps Chrome card. Max and Alex, I'm not asking you guys to guess how much I paid for this. I bought a 2023 Julio Rodriguez Topps Chrome green refractor out of 99. This is, I'll hold it up. This card, green refractor out of 99. How much do you think I paid for this?
I'm going to say 25.
$14.99.
Bro, fuck me then. I guess I paid $50 for it. I guess I fucked up.
Oh yeah, I mean
I
for
don't
a
know.
there's 50 of them.
Green.
There's 99 of them.
I know, but like they're sick.
No, it's cool 'cause it's a color.
I have this thing for green refractors. I actually think they're just kind of cool,
You know
and
what
no
thing
one
I
else.
kinda have is the Agua wave refractors because like water has waves, man. And if you smoke a blunt, you can see the waves, man.
I love you, Max. I love you. This was a great
Maybe
episode.
we can smoke a J together sometimes, man, and have some taste.
I tried, man. Alex, you used to smoke weed. I know. I don't know if you're smoking weed anymore. But
Yeah, it's legal. It's legal in our states. So yeah, I mean, we could arrange. We could arrange.
it certainly enhances the collecting energy for certain cards, in my opinion. And a lot of my PC building, which is just like a weird map in my brain with like different strings connecting different things, basically. Fun to play around with that collection in my brain when I'm high.
There's a correlation between card collecting and marijuana use. I've noticed it. I've smelt it at the Dallas Card Show.
I was gonna say, card shows in particular have a distinct marijuana smell to them on occasion. Sometimes I contribute to that, but it's certainly noticeable. And I think that if there was someone set up at a card show with marijuana, they would probably kill and make a lot of money doing so. I'm just throwing that out there to someone. Anyway, make sure to buy basketball prospects based on their off the dribble shooting percentage. That's gonna be my main takeaway from this entire episode, I think. Max, what's gonna be your main takeaway?
That I have awful taste in basketball card collections, and I'm going to rue the day over you educated folk.
What Alex, you want to give some what are some of the hardest lessons you've learned, or like cards you took the biggest L's on? Just to end on like a really weird note. I feel like that's a good thing since we've talked a lot about the good stuff.
Yeah, like I think like the number one lesson I've learned is just because I think it's cool doesn't mean that everyone else does. And if you're trying to make a little bit of money off of this, you really need to consider the end buyer and their tastes and wants, and prioritize that if that's your goal. And I don't think not everybody has the same goal, but a lot of us are trying to do that goal. And and just keep your goal in mind when you're making decisions, because I get those convoluted all the time as to like, what am I actually trying to do here, right? And the collecting guy in me kind of battles with the guy that's trying to sell for a little bit of money, and like, so I try to keep things clear.
And don't meet your heroes.
And don't meet your heroes. Yeah, I don't like. I wish I didn't have that story to tell, but it did happen.
So, real quick, who are the guys that you do like other than Tyrese Maxey? Who would you want to have a collection of, or like the coolest card of?
So my thing is, it's kind of similar to Max. I do like West Virginia. I went to West Virginia University, so like on my PC wall over here is Geno Smith and Tavon Austin and Stedman Bailey, who is a real an incredible player that had his NFL career cut short. He would have been a stud, but he went to WVU and killed it with Geno. So those years of that WVU football team is a lot of my PC stuff, and then I PC all Philly stuff and Sixers stuff. So like Richie Ashburn, 1952 tops. I have a large PC kind of accumulation of like Philadelphia stuff.
That's sick. I forgot about the West Virginia PC, because I remember when the Geno Smith boom happened last year, you were like, what the fuck? I own all these nice Geno Smith cards. I got to sell now because the price is just too high to hang on to them.
This is so fun. I was talking to Z-Med, who is also a West Virginia collector, because he's from West Virginia. I think he went to West Virginia University for a semester. And because I scroll at like 3,000 eBay listings a night or something like that on any given night, I actually stumbled on the Will Greer True National Treasures 1/1 auto shield, logo man, whatever it was the Will Greer Platinum NFL Shield patch auto 1/1 from National Treasures, like the legit best card of his that exists. And you want to take a guess of how high it went in July 2020? And in July 2023.
Oh man, I'm gonna say 1,200.
Tommy?
I don't even know who Will Greer is. Who is that?
West Virginia quarterback who had some pump and dumping in 2020, and ultimately amounted to very little. And I think he was a 6th round pick.
I'm gonna say $750.
Okay, I mean those are like way closer than I expected. It was $932, which is insane for a quarterback that amounted to pretty much nothing.
But you know why? Because he has this because he's still in the league and he's still a backup, and football is weird, and he's like, when you're one heartbeat from a starting quarterback job, it inflates your prices to this weird place.
That's true. His career statistics are 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 228 passing yards, and a 33 passing rating.
That is tough to do. That's hard to do.
And he's 28 years old.
Well, did you see that the Anthony Bennett logo man, I think auto, went for like $750 on an eBay auction the other week?
I did see that. That's awesome.
That's unreal. China has a lot of money, man. That's all I gotta say.
No, in 2K13. So I'm gonna really go down the memory bank. But when he was drafted number 1 overall, he visibly shouted "whoa," because he himself was just so surprised that he was taken number 1 overall. Anthony Bennett, one of the largest busts in NBA history. The Cavs already had Kyrie Irving. Victor Oladipo was meant to be was the clear top talent in the draft. But since the Cavs already had Kyrie, they didn't want to draft another guard, and they saw Anthony Bennett as the best player available for their positional needs. And they took Anthony Bennett. He's surprised because he's like a 6th or 7th round pick, and they enumerated him shouting "whoa" in NBA 2K13 during the My Player section.
And an animation of him.
When your player gets drafted and Anthony Bennett goes first overall, you hear the audio of Anthony Bennett being surprised in the 2K game.
That's fucking hilarious. I love it. That's a great.
That's a deep cut right there. I like that.
I know ball.
That's the sort of deep cuts that people rely on.
Yeah, I haven't played NBA 2K since 2K14. Actually, I have 2 years of NBA 2K, about 2K and 13, because I've been cut by so many basketball teams in my life that I have to get my reps somewhere else.
Alex, last thing, I promise. Do you own any Top Shot anymore? Are you long holding any Top Shot?
No. Oh, I do own some, but it's not. It's more out of pure laziness of that I don't even feel like liquidating. Just like a few random moments. It is not. Yeah. They ruined it. It got ruined. It's a case study in something that was a good concept, but ultimately was ruined because of greed and fueling the fire too quick and overprinting and every lesson that Upper Deck learned in 91, they're in 89, 91, they're learning. Top Shot learned all over again. So yeah, absolutely not. Do not buy any Top Shot moments. I do not think it's collectible long term.
That's a great ending point, Max. What sort of nonsense do you want to say before people turn this off?
Be one smart chocolate chip cookie in a sea of chocolate milk.
And if you're a kid out there, practice your off the dribble 3-point shot, please. Thank you, Alex, for coming on. Follow him at DelcoRips on all social media. He's a great follow. Great guy. Reach out. Go to the Brotherly Love Card Show.